Nearly 3 billion birds have disappeared from the skies. The journal Science published a report in September 2019 which revealed the staggering decline in bird populations since 1970. This report focuses on that 29% loss of breeding birds in North America. But bird expert Dr. John Fitzpatrick of the Cornell Lab of Ornithology explains how this impacts a country like Belize.
What this tells us is that we are not in balance. And that we are at risk of actually seeing these numbers continue to go down and ultimately causing some real problems in terms of what they reflect in terms of our landscape. The Belize bird population is a really interesting one. Just like the people, this is a culture, a melting pot of cultures of birds. Some of them resident, some of them locally migratory within the tropics, and many of them, as you've just pointed out, migrating in from breeding grounds in North America where they'll spend more than half their year here. That study that indicates the loss of breeding birds in North America clearly indicates that Belize itself is losing birds because many of those birds are birds that winter here.
Threats to birds vary. Things like climate change, illegal logging, development, loss of habitat, and poaching are just a few of the factors that threaten birds' species. Author of Birds of Belize, Dr. Lee Jones, has seen this firsthand, how a species has pretty much vanished from Belize.
One bird that apparently has gone extinct since I've been here, it was in the mountain pine ridge, the eastern bluebird. It wasn't common, but it hasn't been seen now in 12 years. And I think that's from habitat destruction. It's bark beetle infestation, the fire regime, a number of things that have caused its extinction, whether that was natural or whether that was man-induced or what. But yeah, there are a few things. Extinction is final. I mean, when something's gone, it's gone. A lot of things that have gotten rare, but they're still hanging on.
Although birds face an increasing number of threats, Belize is still at the forefront of bird conservation, and this has helped to propel birding as a growing tourist offering. In 2018 alone, an estimated 30,000 tourists visited Belize for birding activities. And that in turn has also helped to raise the importance of birds in Belize.
We probably have more habitat or forest reserves and intact habitats per unit area for the country of almost any place, anywhere. And even though we talk about habitat destruction and all the things that go with that, it's minimal compared to Guatemala and El Salvador and Honduras and places around us, which also feeds into the tourism. People come to Belize because they know that's where they get all these rare birds that they're not so rare in Belize, but they can't get elsewhere.
This is an amazing country for getting people engaged in birds, which in turn gets them engaged in thinking about the natural systems. That's a model for how countries could be moving all over the world. So Belize is really in a leadership role in that way.
But there must be continued conservation and protection efforts to maintain healthy populations of birds, which in turn will sustain birding for tourism purposes. Fitzpatrick says that each person can play a part.
One of the things that every citizen can do is think about your daily behavior in terms of what you consume. Use less plastic. We should not be using plastic straws anymore. We should be using recyclable, reusable materials on everything that we eat and drink so that we have less pollution of the landscape. We pay attention to whether our landscapes are cleaner, whether we are actually encouraging local individuals to grow plants, native flowers, native vegetation that allows these migratory birds and some of the resident birds to live and be safer. And the other thing is just get out and enjoy it and spread the word, because the more the populace in general understands that Belize is a magical country for birds, then the better the chances are that Belize as a whole, from the politicians and government officials on down to local individuals and private individuals, the more the country itself enjoys and rejoices in what you've got, the better off these birds are going to be.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.